Selamat pagi, Bapak-Bapak dan Ibu-Ibu yang kami hormati. Kami mengucapkan banyak terima kasih atas partisipasinya dalam webinar Change is Accelerating, Are You Ready? Pada hari ini, Kamis 30 September 2021. Saya Endah dari Project Management Academy Indonesia dan rekan saya, Chris dari Kepintar Malaysia, akan memandu acara webinar ini. Acara ini akan berlangsung selama 1,5 jam dan diakhiri pada jam 11.30. Sebagian besar acara ini akan menggunakan bahasa Indonesia dan hanya saat penjelasan tentang topik utama dari pembicara, maka akan menggunakan bahasa Inggris. Sebelum kami mulai acara ini, kami sampaikan agenda untuk webinar adalah sebagai berikut. Yang pertama adalah penjelasan mengenai company profile dari PT PMA dan Kepintar yang nanti akan disampaikan oleh Bapak Johan sebagai pimpinan dari PT PMA. Selanjutnya akan langsung masuk ke materi utama webinar ini yang akan disampaikan oleh dua speaker kami dari Kepintar. Setelah sesi penyampaian materi utama disampaikan oleh kedua speaker dari Kepintar, maka akan dilanjutkan dengan sesi tanya jawab. Pada sesi tanya jawab ini diharapkan jika ada pertanyaan, Bapak dan Ibu bisa ketik pada kolom panel tanya jawab yang ada di chat box. Setelah semua pertanyaan terkumpul, maka kami para speaker akan menjawab semua pertanyaan Bapak dan Ibu. Dan akan lebih baik jika pertanyaan-pertanyaan bisa disampaikan dalam bahasa Inggris. Karena keterbatasan waktu yang ada, mohon memperhatikan jumlah pertanyaan dan jawaban yang akan disampaikan. Dan jika masih ada beberapa pertanyaan yang belum sempat terjawab, maka dengan senang hati kami akan menjawabnya melalui email. Baik, untuk mempersingkat waktu, acara segera kami mulai. Dan kami persilahkan Bapak Johan untuk menyampaikan sesi yang pertama. Terima kasih.
Oke, baik. Terima kasih Bu Enda. Mungkin tadi sudah dijelaskan mengenai siapa saya. Nama saya Johan. Hanya itu saja karena yang nama belakangnya mungkin sekarang sudah tidak ada lagi. Bapak S itu. Oke, akan kita lanjutkan. PT PMA atau yang dipanjangkan dengan nama Project Management Academy ada di Indonesia sejak tahun 2005. Kami tidak bermaksud sombong untuk mengatakan bahwa kami mungkin satu-satunya lembaga usaha yang fokus hanya pada project management saja, karena kami memang bisanya ya hanya tentang project management. Yang lain kami tidak tahu. Oke, PT PMA adalah authorized training provider dari PMA International, which is suatu lembaga yang memberikan standar project management untuk seluruh training project management kami. Area wilayah pelatihan kami mencakup seluruh Asia Tenggara dan kami juga ada kantor di Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Nah, sekarang mengenai Kepintar ya. Siapa dan sepintar apa mereka? Oke, saya akan jelaskan mengenai kepintaran mereka ya. Kepintar adalah jagoan saya, atau tepatnya mereka adalah partner kami untuk beberapa jasa yang sedikit banyak berkaitan dengan proyek, tetapi yang tidak dilakukan oleh PT PMA. Kalau PT PMA ada pada tahun 2005, maka Kepintar berdiri sejak tahun 2002. So mungkin lebih pintar dari PT PMA. Seperti kami, Kepintar juga melaksanakan jasa pelatihan dan juga konsultasi, hanya saja variannya, jasanya lebih bervariasi dari PT PMA. Utamanya untuk Human Capital Development dengan fokus pada Executive Development, Professional Certification, SME Capacity Enhancement, Graduate Capability Development, dan Soft Skill Enhancement. So, sekali lagi Kepintar memang lebih pintar dari PT PMA yang hanya fokus di project management saja. Oke, area wilayah Kepintar meliputi seluruh Asia Tenggara dan juga Timur Tengah dan lain-lain. Kepintar juga telah berpartner dengan beberapa perusahaan multinasional yang expert di bidangnya. Oke, Bapak Ibu, demikian sekilas pandang tentang kami. Sekali lagi terima kasih atas waktunya. Saya kembalikan ke Ibu Endah.
Baik, terima kasih Pak Johan atas penjelasan tentang company profile. Dan berikutnya kita masuk pada topik utama. Untuk pembicara pertama yaitu Mr. Muhammad Imran Kunalan bin Abdullah. Sekilas tentang beliau, Mr. Muhammad Imran is a principal consultant on digital talent development. He specializes in advisory and consulting in digital transformation and HR, supporting various local and international reputable organizations such as Accenture, KPMG, GOS Indoraya in Jakarta, and Korean Development Institute. He has more than 23 years of experience in the human capital development, and prior to this, he was the director of talent division at Malaysian Digital Economic Corporation. Untuk Mr. Imran, waktu kami persilakan.
Terima kasih, Bu. Semua orang bisa dengar suara saya?
Oke.
Bisa ya?
Bisa.
Bisa. Okay. Selamat pagi and a very good morning to everyone for joining this session. So as has been mentioned by Bu Indah, so I have an extensive experience in the various organizations in Malaysia as well as in Indonesia in the area of human capital, digital talent development, and also on the consulting. Okay, so for this morning, I would be sharing some insight in terms of what we call as digitalization, whereby each and every day, I don't think anyone here would be would have not heard about someone or somebody, or even in television or in any media. Each and every day, someone will be talking about digitalization, transformation, and so forth. Okay, so with reference to that, I will be sharing some insight about digitalization, the new norm of work, and how change is very relevant for this transformation that each and every one of us are going through with respective of any organization we are working in. Okay? So I will be covering 4 areas. The first is about the digital transformation itself. So what does digital transformation entails? Followed by some of the features when we talk about digital transformation. What are the changes that we are going through in terms of our respective organization? Basically, this era is the age of customer and information. So each and every one of us are experiencing this era. So we cannot be running away from this. Okay. And then the third part is about how can we adapt to the new age or changes that is happening and the challenges that we are facing through. And as we all know, in the last 1.5 years or even 2 years, the whole world is impacted by the pandemic. So as the pandemic happens, so the first thing that have impacted organization is about the new way of work, how we do our work, where we work from, what are the changes in the work environment. So these are all the changes that we have been embracing throughout the last almost 2 years, and it is still ongoing. Okay, so we need to adapt to the changes that unfortunately related to the pandemic. But nevertheless, the good thing about this pandemic is it has accelerated a lot of transformation that was planned by organization, which was supposed to happen on a gradual manner. But due to this pandemic, the changes happen in a very, very fast and accelerated manner. Okay. And finally, I'll be touching on the change leadership for transformation. So what are the changes that happen? And being a leader, what sort of competencies that is needed for a leader to ensure that they themselves and the organizations can follow through with the situation, the unprecedented situation that is happening today. Okay? So hope that is what I will be sharing for the next 25 to 30 minutes. So if you have any questions, feel free to put up your questions through the chat box, and then we will address this at the end of this session. Okay. So let me move into the presentation proper. Okay. This is a very famous quote by Charles Darwin. You know, he said that it is not the strongest of the species that survives, but or not the most intelligent, but the one most responsive to change. So this is the scenario. It is about being quick and responsive to the change that happens. You may not be the strongest, you may not be the smartest, but then if you are able to respond fast enough, I think this is your means of survival. I think this is also the situation happened in the last 1.5 years, whereby when the pandemic hit the global economic space, companies which are able to adapt and respond fast are the ones who are surviving today. Those who took a longer time, they are almost extinct or gone forever. Okay, but nevertheless, it is not just being responsive. Adapting to the changes is not that easy. So there is a lot of constraint that we need to adjust to. Okay, so this is what Charles Darwin has mentioned ages ago, and this still holds water. Okay, so the question I have is, are you ready for transformation? Okay, so this particular diagram is a very busy diagram, but it compresses the entire digital transformation for any organization in a simple manner, in a nutshell. Okay, so if you were to remember anything from my presentation today in the next couple of minutes, I think this is one slide that you must remember. Okay, and this don't worry about the slide. This will be shared to you, so don't worry about taking notes or pictures of this. Okay, so when we talk about digital transformation today, so there are various components. So the first is about digital leadership. So it covers many areas within the digital leadership sphere. It is about the organization itself. I believe all of you are leaders in your respective organization, the team that you are managing, the network that you work along, the trust that you gain from your people. So these are the various components when we talk about digital leadership within the digital transformation sphere. And the second component is what we call is the transformation block itself. So this is pretty much looking at the nitty-gritties of your respective organizational operational process. Okay, so moving along, the third part is about the digital strategy framework. So you cannot have any transformation without a strategy framework. So this is a big component within your digital transformation agenda. Okay, and then when we talk about digital transformation, it is about reinventing your existing business model. Okay, and technology is the enabling component. Okay, ICT is the enabling component for your digital transformation. Okay, and it helps to digitize your operations. Okay, and it can be any function within your organization, but all the functions to some extent will be going through some level of digitalization. Okay, and the technologies that support the digital transformation are plenty of technology. So this is where the technology which is at the bottom part of the slide, if you look at it, it talks about mobile, cloud, the wearables, the e-commerce, 3D printing, analytics, and whatever not. So there are various technology that is meant to support your digital transformation, transforming your organization from your reinventing your business to new business model, as well as creating new businesses within your respective existing business sphere. Okay, so this is digital transformation in a nutshell. Okay, so moving on, when we talk about digital transformation today, I think this is a very interesting slide where it shows to us in terms of all the various transformation or digital influence that impact our day-to-day life. If I were to ask you today, how many of you don't use smartphone? I think that will be a very, very wrong question to ask, because each and every one of us today cannot leave our home or cannot do our work without using a smartphone. You may be not opening your computers, but I'm pretty sure you will be using your smartphone and whatever not. Okay, so this is where the digital transformation of everything. Okay, day in, day out, we breathe and breathe out of this digital transformation aspect of our daily life, be it at work or being at home. Okay, and today, when we talk about, because of this pandemic, there is a blurring line in terms of when you work and when you do your housework. Because quite a number of us, due to the lockdown, we have we are bound to work from home. So when we are working from home, so there is no such a distinct difference in terms of, hey, are you doing a housework or are you doing your work? Okay, so this is the reality that we face in. So in terms of some of the technologies and the solution that we are day in, day out in our life is like Uber, Waze, you got Gojek, you got Grab, HBO, Netflix, and so forth. So these are all the various technologies that is influencing our day-to-day life. Okay, so moving on to the digital transformation ready organization. So there are three components that we need to be conscious about. The first is about the strategic impact. Second is about the operational impact. And the third is cost. Okay, nothing comes free. So you must be concerned about the cost that you're going to invest in your transformation journey. So when we talk about the strategic impact, based on a research done by McKinsey, it shows that 86% of top enterprises, mostly the IT component is enabled by the enterprise, either to serve new market or customer segment. Okay, and when we talk about operational impact, 95% of top enterprises increase employee productivity between 10 to 30% by virtue of investing on technology. And when we talk about cost, so 52% of top enterprises reduce costs within the business by more than 15%. So these are the gains that one organization can actually anticipate when you start on your digital transformation journey. And bear in mind, not all organizations are successful because they invest on technology, but they fail to manage the people component of the organization, which is very, very important. That's why in our sessions today, I'm talking about the digital transformation, but then followed by my colleague, Mr. Nantha, he'll be talking about the change component, which relates to the people part. I think, I don't know how many of you have probably have read an article by MIT, where it talks about digital transformation is not about technology, it is about the people. Okay, you can invest in a Rolls Royce or a BMW or whatever you wish if you have the money, but if it doesn't serve the people agenda of the organization, it is not going to give you any impact. Okay, so in terms of key differentiators, when we talk about the transformation of your business through digital transformation, there are three different distinct parts. One is about business alignment, second is about innovation, and third is about the business outcome. So we have to be cognizant about all these three uh, differentiators, so which I will go in detail in the next few slides. Okay, when we talk about business alignment, it is about organizing your structure. It is about the central control over execution, how your services is going to be delivered. Are you using an ERP system? Are you using a CRM system? Do you have knowledge management? So these are one component within your organization. Second is about the talent part of it. So do you have the workforce, the people ready to support the transformation, to embrace and have the skill sets to use the technology to proceed and support the business transformation? So sometimes some of the organization, you may not have all the talent that you want. You may not have all the structure that you wish to pursue. You look at outsourcing as an option for you. Okay. And the third part is culture. So are we culturally ready to transform our organization? So this is pretty much on the people part of it. And then the technology component, whereby, as I stated here, we are talking about, you may have heard about software as a service and so forth. So today is XaaS, something probably new for if you have not heard about it. It is basically talking about anything as a service. So this is the reality we are when we talk about transformation of the business and aligning our operations. Okay. The second part is about supporting innovation, so your organization, whether it is ready. So IT structure within your organization is very, very critical to support this digital transformation, because a lot of investment, as I alluded earlier, is about investing on new technology to support your present operation and to take you to the next level of your business success. So the IT organization must be structured to support the knowledge sharing and innovation. Why a lot of transformation fail in quite a number of organizations? Because of the IT structure is so isolated, it is treated as a standalone or a support mechanism. It has to be embedded, and IT is a service provider to the organization. So please bear this in mind. So if you have IT as in isolation, your transformation will not be successful. And coming to the IT organization or support as well, sometimes you may also outsource to a third party if you don't have in-house capability to support. Okay, and the innovation, sometimes you can look at the driving innovation within your people, and you can also look at innovation coming from outside through the uh, currently people talk about gig. So gig is not only about getting people to do your work, but you also can do crowdsourcing of innovation and ideation through the uh, gig platform, for instance. Okay, so some organization, when they have a funding and so forth, they do establish their own in-house innovation hub or studio and so forth. So these are various ways of operationalizing the transformation within your organization. And as I mentioned again, technology is a supporting component. So you must be continuously updating the technology to be on top of what is happening in the technology space, to be relevant to your organization. So moving on the outcome, okay, end of the day, for the business, when I invest on technology and people, I want to see the outcome. This is ultimate. You cannot say we don't care about the outcome. Ultimately, it's about outcome. So we talk about technology. We need to measure what we have invested upon. So analytics come into play very extensively at this juncture. You have to look at analytics to assess your product offering, how your customer interaction, the services that you provide, not only about customer experience. Many a time we talk about customer experience, but we neglect employee experience. So both have a very significant role in your business transformation. So we need to do some level of automation to increase the speed of execution. And from the technology investment, when we talk about the service delivery, how you reach out to your client, whether internal and external. So the service delivery component also need to be measured continuously throughout your transformation journey. And as I always mention about outsourcing here, why I'm saying that is uh, some big organization, they have the monetary strength to invest in everything, but some organization may not have that capability and money to invest internally. So you may opt at outsourcing. So these are the three main alignment that you need to do for your business transformation. Okay, so moving on, as I alluded earlier in my earlier, when I talk about my content, I talk about today is the age of customer. I think everyone today is talking about Industrial Revolution 4.0. Okay, when we talk about Industrial Revolution 4.0, they talk about all those various so-called disruptive technologies that is impacting the operations. But ultimately, it's all about fulfilling your client's need. So we went through the first revolution is about age of manufacturing. The second revolution is actually about age of distribution, whereby we talk about global connections and distribution within whether locally or globally. And the third revolution is the age of information. And today it is about customers. All of us here are because of our customers and what we want to fulfill their needs. So this is quite a different perspective from the IR 4.0 that you are familiar with. So yes, I'm not saying that is wrong, but ultimately for a business, we are fulfilling our customers' demand. So we are empowering our customers in terms of what they want and their obsession on our product and so forth. So this is where, as I mentioned, is the age of customer. So when we talk about age of customer, it's about adaptability and speed. If you don't address your customer's need in a fast speed, you will be out of business for sure. So you can, as McKinsey said, mass extinction events don't just happen for no reason. It is in the current extinction event, the causal factor is digital transformation. If you don't transform fast enough, you will be out of business and you will be shutting down whatever business you are in. Okay, please remember that. And for business investment, it is not only about the technology, but along the technology and the business process investment, you have to incorporate change. If you don't incorporate change, you will not realize the transformation journey that you embark upon, and eventually you will move nowhere. Okay, so I want to stress upon that, and later on you will hear more insight about this change agenda as well. So come back to the question, is investment an issue? I think it is not an issue. So this is based on Tech Republic research on the investment on technology in 2018, the spending on technology. If you look at it, technology and operations, we are talking about USD 662 billion spent globally on technology operation and 326 billion spent on communication platform and innovation alone. So you can see almost 50% of the investment is focused on communication platform and innovation on people. Okay, so this is where the point I want to stress is about ensuring that your transformation journey have a specific focus on people and change. Okay, so the reality is enterprises are investing money, but they are not spending enough on the people part of it. So they're just spending money on one part of the problem. Okay, so when we talk about digital transformation focus, holistically, it is about technology, culture, metrics, and structure. And the human component, which is the centerpiece. So if you don't address the human or the people component, you will fail in your digital transformation focus. So what exactly is the purpose of this digital transformation? As I alluded earlier, it is about addressing your client, customer expectation. More importantly, not just looking at external, but also your internal client. Okay, and change is a key fundamental component for this transformation to happen. So how do you manage change for this transformation? So this is another interesting quote from Nelson Mandela, the late president of South Africa. He said, if you talk to a man in a language he understands, that goes to his head. If you talk to him in his language, that goes to his heart. The language that I am advocating and we are advocating today is not about technology, it is about the language of people. how to change the mindset of the people. Okay. So when we talk about change, I think this is a very interesting slide, whereby when we talk about change, we are addressing the boiling frog syndrome, whereby if you just stay on with where you are and complacent to like the frog, which didn't realize that he's sitting on boiling, it's being boiled. So of course, instead of feeling the heat, he was very comfortable with the warmth that has been created. So if we don't change, identify the change is happening within the pot it's in, definitely he's going to die. So similarly for us in any organization, we cannot be in an inertia. So the changes that's happening is through the external and internal environment. It is not just within your work domain. So the changes are happening across your domains. It can be the demographic, social, economic, political, competition, technology, and product, and so forth. So in a business, these are the various external environment that you need to consider. Okay, and this is another interesting slide whereby when we talk about change, is we call it the digital vortex or the forces of change, whereby we are in a competitive landscape today. What works for us yesterday may not work for us today or even for the next couple of days or years or even months. Okay, so we have to be ready to embrace the change and follow through. So this the digital vortex is basically about competitive landscape whereby exponential changes happening within our environment, within our business area, within our economic sphere, and so forth. So you may be at a different level of change, but then bear in mind it is happening as we speak. Okay, and just sharing with you some of the references in terms of organizations which some of them realize the change that is happening, but they ignore the change and they become extinct. So these are some of the brand that you probably have known as well. Kodak, for example, Nokia, Tyrek, Toys R Us, Hummer, BlackBerry, and so forth. These are giants at one time, but some of them already out of business as we speak today because they ignored change. Okay, and being leaders, what is your role in managing change? So you have to be the guide, you have to look at the solution, you have to be visionary, you have to embrace teamwork, you have to clear direction, you have to embark on a strategic agenda for your organization. More importantly, communicate and articulate well to the entire organization and have a proper goal carved out in terms of your organization where you're heading to, and ultimately resilience. When the pandemic started, one of the key jargon that I come across, everybody was talking about is about pivoting and resilience. I think today everyone is talking about resilience. So what is about resilience leadership? The 6 domains of resilience is about having a vision, collaborative effort, having the tenacity whereby it's about persistent, realistic, ensuring that you know you are going to bounce back, you are healthy. Health is very, very important. You must keep your composure in terms of whatever comes across within your path, in your transformation, within on a personal agenda as well as organization, and you must have the right reasoning manner, whereby problem solving, resourcefulness, and anticipate plan. Okay, being a resilient leader, it's about seeing, watch for emotional process, using your thinking system, leading, focus on differentiation of yourself. So a resilient leader is someone who is able to lead with calm, clarity, and conviction mindset. Okay. And in terms of some guidance that I want to share in terms of how you can guide in driving change, you please remember everyone is talented. So use their talent wisely. Okay, recognize and leverage on team members' capability. Recognize behavior and effort, not just success. Recognize your team members' contribution. Empower to contribute, make decision. Don't micromanage. A lot of time, as being leaders, we tend to micromanage. So it can be a negative thing for your organization. Please don't micromanage, and empower with authority. Empowering doesn't mean just managing like a country club management. So you still need to oversee what is happening. Okay. And being a change leader, you have to be uh, differentiated between what is being a manager and being a leader. You have to be a leader, a coach who serve others. Leadership is about relationship. Okay, and the traits of change leadership. So these are some of the traits. It's about visible, provide proactive support, high level engagement, and actively demonstrate commitment for change. So some of the traits is resourcefulness, adventurous, optimist, being optimist, passionate, drive, and adaptable, resilient, and confident. So don't worry about a slide, as I mentioned. This is meant to be shared to you. So basically, that's all from me today. And this is my final slide. I would like to say is if you wait for change to happen, I think you will be extinct. Okay, so you have to leap from your comfort zone. Digital transformation is something that you cannot avoid. So I shared in terms of some of the various components within the digital transformation. Then I alluded in terms of digital transformation, it's not just about technology. It is more importantly about managing people to drive that change agenda for your organization. So with that, I end my presentation. So thank you very much, and I look forward to for question session, which we will come back later. Thank you very much.
Baik, terima kasih Mr. Imran atas penjelasannya. Kami percaya sesi ini telah memberikan apresiasi dan pemahaman yang lebih baik tentang bagaimana digitalisasi dapat mempercepat perubahan yang terjadi di sekitar kita, terutama dengan adanya pandemi COVID-19. Terima kasih sekali lagi kepada pembicara kami karena telah berbagi skenario yang mendalam tentang hal ini. Dan sebagai hormat kami, mohon berikan aplaus untuk beliau. Dan untuk materi berikutnya adalah penjelasan dari pembicara kedua yaitu Mr. Nantha Kumar. Mr. Nantha is a certified change practitioner and advanced instructor in change management with more than 20 years of experience in education, manufacturing, and financial service industry, both locally and regionally. Armed with knowledge and skills in change management best practice, he delivers certification workshops and webinars on change management to both private and government sectors in various industries such as oil and gas, IT, healthcare, education, telecommunication, manufacturing, and energy conglomerates both in Malaysia and Southeast Asia region. Untuk Mr. Nantha, waktu kami persilakan.
Okey, selamat tengah hari. Terima kasih Ibu Enda, Pak Johansson and also Pak Imran. Saya amat gembira berada di sini untuk berkongsi tentang change management. Okey, sebelum saya pergi kepada topik tersebut, saya ingin memberitahu bahawa ini satu peluang dan ruang yang diberikan kepada kita untuk berkongsi tentang pengurusan perubahan. Very good afternoon to you. My name is Nantha. Thank you everybody for being here. It's a great pleasure. All right. I will share with you some of the key areas and fundamentals in change management. Right. All right. I'm going to share with you the ADKAR model. But before I go to the ADKAR model on the change management, I would like to bring your attention to what I will be covering in the next half an hour or so. All right. You may take a photo or may take some notes on this because all these things are going to be very, very important for you to implement the change in your organization. Now, I'm so glad to see many of you from HR, from project management, from change management, and also from L&D. I think you are the right audience to be here to look at what I'm going to share with you, which you can implement at your workplace. Right. So a couple of things I'll share with you based on my experience. I worked in a bank, manufacturing, education, healthcare, and I also advise customers, clients on change management. So I would like to share with you all those experiences within 40 minutes or 30 minutes or so, right? So things I'll cover is what is change management, why it matters, right? We hear everything, so many scenarios about change. And I think Pa Imran covered very well in terms of the digitalization that is happening. And I'm going to share with you how to make it into effect. All right. Then I'll talk about, you share about drivers and process of change. What is actually driving change? Then what is a successful change? Because we talk about change, of course, nobody wants to fail in their initiative. I'm going to share with you what makes a successful change to be implemented by organization, right? And follow through, I will share with you what is the best practices or methodology out there that you can use to implement in your organization. Now, remember, we are not going to give you a concept, a theory or concept, but this is a methodology which is proven, best practices, and easy to use, which I will share with you briefly. And the core or backbone of this discussion would be the ADKAR model. Now, we're talking about the change, talking about digitalization, we're talking about COVID-19, accelerating the change. Now, the question is that what makes the change intact? What makes the change to be effective to achieve the desired results of your business? All right. And the last one, we look at the roles in change management. You're not talking about change management. People always feel that, oh, this is not my role. This is the role of HR. This is the role of my project manager. All right. So I'm going to share with you, I'm going to lay the foundation. Now, look here. If you're talking about the change management, let's be clear. What are the roles in change management that you and I have to look at it? All right. Now, you look at this. I always love this slide. You know, I mean, everybody talks about change. Now, what the question is that the size of the change now is so big. It's not only affecting the unit or division, but it's changing the whole business model. And these changes are getting bigger and bigger. All right. I will share with you some of the researches done by in the industry as to what are the changes are happening. And the changes are changing very fast. Now, as I speak now, I can be every second we got new software being developed. What does it mean? Even before the COVID-19, right, the software development was very fast, but now getting faster. Very simple. If you look at the changes are getting bigger, getting faster, more complex, and more interconnected. What does it mean to us? What does it mean to our employee? What does it mean to our future? So because this is COVID-19, right, has fast forward 5 years of our technological advances. Now the question is now, so change is happening, change is constant, it's getting bigger, more complex. The question is that, what shall we do? As a change practitioner, as a HR practitioner, as a project manager, or even as a HR department or businessman, what do we do? So the question comes to, what are driving our change? All right. So you look at this slide, you ask yourself, what is driving change in your organization? Is it that your organization says that, okay, we're going to lower the cost, we're going to have a higher revenue, we're going to increase the efficiency? No, many of my customers, right, clients, when I talk to them, they say we want to increase efficiency. All right. They want to go into the new market, larger market. Now, regardless of what is happening, the three main factors driving changes are, number one, the globalization. Number two, IT sophistication. All right. And number three is customers' expectation. These are the three drivers are driving the businesses and changing the landscape. Right. So questions. Okay, I know this is a webinar, and please ask all your questions in your Q&A, but this question is rhetoric. So you ask yourself, why are we changing? All right. Look at your organization, look at your company, and look at your industry. Right? Why are we changing? And why are we changing now? All right. And what is changing? What is not changing? And what is the risk of not changing? Now, you need to answer this question. When people say change, don't simply change because you do not know how to change. And the human behavior, the nature is that when you ask you to change, they resist. All right. So I'll go through a little bit on that. So these questions you have in mind. Now, change is a process. Now, I like this the slides because it's talking about cocoon going towards the butterfly state. Butterfly is so beautiful. But the thing is that you are here on the current state, the red color. The question is that you need to move. You need to make a change. You need to transit. Why? Simple, because the digitalization that's happening, that what Pa Imran mentioned, you need to move. The business have to move. The industry has to move. The people have to move. Now, change is a process. You can't do it in a day. Like you're getting fit, right? like for example, if you want to reduce your weight from, no, I was about 75 kilo. So I reduced to now 63 kilo. So it's a journey I went through for about nearly 1 year. So you can't get fit within a day. So it's a process and you have to go through a state of transition. All right, so it takes time. So you need to have a plan for that. Okay, so what happens is that from the current state to where you want to be, for example, you may say that, oh, we want to go for fully digitalized. Or we want to penetrate into the new market. Or we invested in the new CRM. We want everybody to use it. Good, good. But how do you go from the current to the future state? That's where the transition comes. Now, there are two ways you look at transition. All right, why change management important? I think everybody knows we need to change. But the question is that how? Why? Right? So if you look at this slide, the top one is current transition future. Remember, in every change initiative, you always focus on the success factor. What and why you're doing this. You are saying that you want to install CRM. Why? You want to increase efficiency, reduce the cost, or reduce the man hour. So the success factor is very important. Don't simply change because of change per se. Know that what you want to achieve end of the day. All right? Then without change, if you have a change management, the transition will be easy. I'm not saying very easy, it will be challenges, but look at the below. What is the difference? The current state is where you are. You are not using CRM. You are not using any new system, or you are not using any like e-procurement or e-vendor system. That's where you are, the current state. So when you want to move to the future state, you go through a transition. If you and I don't have a plan, we don't have a change management strategy, we don't have a change management activity, we don't have a change management outcome, the transition, people will be confused. They'll be asking, why are we using the new CRM system? What's wrong with the old one? Why am I using it now? Oh, is this new CRM system going to take away my job? All right? And all these things will create resistance, the fear. That's why we say change always focus on the people side of the change. We got the technological changes, risk changes, reputation changes, but more important is that people need to change to make the successful transition. So in the transition state, it's longer because more time is being wasted. More people are confused. They have some rumors going on. They do not know why we are changing, how to change, how to demonstrate the new behavior. You can see all the white color one, all are loss of productivity. So when you go to the future state, it's already half full with a lot of polka dots. So end of the day, the success is minimized. Now, I like this slide very much, but I think from those people in HR, they will see it very well. All right. If you look at this green, yellow, and red, right, we're speaking about what are the risks, the resistance people, employee will have if you don't have a right approach in managing change. Now, you look at the department A, B, C, and D. From the first communication, for example, maybe your organization are implementing performance management system, e-performance management system, or e-procurement, all right, or e-vendor, or e-logistic, all right. It's a new system. So when you first communicate that we are rolling out, all right, and there's no subsequent plan in the process, you see people are going down and up and down and up. If you say one department, for example, take department B, only first communication happens in the beginning, department B. Straight away, they go down to the red color. What does it mean? When people don't have the awareness, you don't communicate to them, if you don't coach them, if you don't give them training, they straight away go down to the negative impact of that situation. The loss of productivity, active resistance, they do not know why you have to use the new system. So all these things can be avoided if you and I have a strategy. Now, what does it mean? So if you have a future in such a way, you're going to have a lower ROI, history of field changes, unachieved improvement, and what we expected not. See, these are the core failure if you don't properly manage the change. Now, when I say manage the change means, don't get me wrong, I'm talking about the business model. I'm not talking about the business model or the project management only. I'm talking about the people side of the change, because change management speaks about how do you mobilize people to achieve the desired results. Now, I think those who are project managers, I think there are a couple of project managers here. You can see it very well. All right. Now, what does successful change requires? Now, we need someone to use a system process to develop a model, develop a software, and develop a design. This project manager is done by the project manager. All right, project manager will design, develop, deliver. Why? So these are technical side of the people. Business says, okay, we need to develop a new vendor system. Fine. We develop the e-vendor system. All right, the new software using algorithm or Python, we program it and we develop it. Now the question is that, is people going to use is people going to use the system that you're going to use? The question is yes and no. Why? Whatever that you produce whatever that you develop is because business wants you to develop, correct? Yes. But does the people are ready to use the system? Question mark. Why? Because we did not know whether they know why are we changing. Do they know? Do they have the desire to change? Do they have the knowledge to change? Are they able to change? So we need to have the technical side, which is the project, and the people side of the change. So the people side of the change, they must be able to engage, adopt, and use. Failure of which you can produce, implement so much of projects and systems, but the usage, the adoption, the usage, utilization will be lower. So what does it mean? If your project manager and change manager comes together in terms of their process, the action and activity, they can achieve the success that you already assigned. Now, what happened? Many of my clients, right? So many clients, they only focus on technical side. Why? When I ask them, oh no, we don't have enough staff. Oh, our project manager can do the change management. Question, does your project manager have the skill of managing people? Does your project manager have the competency to manage change? That's the question, all right? So for a change to be successful, please, please, please. This from my experience with so many industries, so many clients, so many workshop participants, you need to give equal importance to the people side of the change. Okay, I would like to bring you to, now I would like to bring you to a methodology. Remember, in PMP, I think the number of you are from project management, right? Now, if you're a project manager, to say that you are competent, you are professional, and using a standard, international standard, you need to have PMP, project management professionals, correct? Now, for change management, how? Can everybody do change management? The question is that yes. The justification is, does your change management team or does the people doing change, do they have the right competency? Number one, do they have the right knowledge, right skill, and the right tools? So here, I would like to introduce you proudly and happily that this is the methodology that is research-based. They do research for the past 20 years. They are a product development research-based company only on change management. Like what Pak Johannes mentioned, right? The PME focus purely on change on project management. So ProSci is a professional science, a US-based industry company. They are specifically on the doing all the researches, and from the researchers they find out what are the best practices, and all are digital content, cloud-based. So all the research are there, and they have a holistic results that matter. What does it mean? They feel, whenever we implement a project, a change project, they look at not only the one or two components of their population. They look at the leaders in the organization. They look at the project manager. They look at the change manager. They look at until the end user. So it's a very holistic, giving you the knowledge, the skills, and also the tool. Third one, easy to use models. I will share with you, of course, this is only a webinar, right? Maybe later on we can give you the link. You can go and see what are the easy to use tools and models for your change management. Now, I've seen many change managers, many HR practitioners, they struggle. Why they struggle? They have the knowledge, they have the skill, but they don't have the tools. They do not know how to implement. All right. So this ProSci methodology, they have the tools. Okay. So what is so big deal about ProSci? Now it has 20 years of CM research. The research are so fantastic, superb. Every industry, every topical studies. 10 years, every 2 years, once they do the studies, we have 6,000 people, research participants. Fortune 100 companies, they partner with ProSci. Why? Because their tools are very, very easy to use and repeatable, right? So we have 75,000 people certified and trained worldwide. Okay, so if you are certified under the ProSci Change Management, you will be one of them. And committee members, we have 100,000 committee members. All right, committee members. So now, so the question is that, yeah, I heard about change management. My company is doing change management. I read here, I watch on TV, YouTube, Netflix. A lot of things are changing. Now, when it comes to what contributes change success, now you be very careful. The research that the ProSci has done from the 10 years, see, you can see all the years, 2007, 9, 11, 13, 15, 17, and 20, the benchmarking, which was done last year. The number one is for every project, change project to be successful, they need to make sure that the leaders play an important role, which is the sponsor. They call it sponsor, or in any organization, like for example, your GM or CEO, or anyone who is heading that particular project, that authorizing and managing the project. And number two, you must have a structured change management approach. Many clients that I see, right, when they talk about change management, the first thing they tell me is that they show me the training plan. I say, no, training plan is only part of the managing change approach. You must have a structure, which is a strategy, implementation, and the outcome. All right, so frequent open communication is the main blunder. Many organizations do not communicate. All right, even if they communicate in the wrong category, wrong audience. We need to know the big bosses communicates what content, message. The manager, they communicate what message. So these are the things you have to look at, right? Okay, let's define what is change management. I mean, of course, this is a webinar, right? I cannot be asking question now. Keep your question later. But on the project level, we focus on only one thing. How does change management uses a structured process and tools? That's the only thing. In change management, the definition of a change is we are going to apply a structured process and tool, like how you do in PMP, right? Why? We want to lead people to achieve desired outcome. Now, I was doing one program for one of the important client in Malaysia. All right. So the person asked me, Nantha, we don't want to focus on the output. We want to focus on the outcome. Yes, because we want to see the results. For the change to happen, we need to mobilize our people. When people don't change, organization never change. Company never change. Do you know? The people inside there, they are the one we need to focus in. So then comes to the organizational level. We need to build competency. We don't only talk about the change manager or HR. Every level in the organization, we need to focus how we can equip them with the skill set to become a competent change agent. All right. So this couple of studies says that when you have a structured change management, focusing on the people side of the change, you can get 6 times of your project meet objective. Now, coming back to the project, right? What is the key? How do you know your project successful? Why do you have project in the first place? All right. Now, when company changes, when transformation takes place, all right, every changes is demonstrated by projects. The project shows that, okay, my company is moving to this particular market. My company is installing this system. Why? Because we are changing to be competitive with the other industry or other market. So when it happens, that project will focus on 3 things. Your project objective, which is your ROI, your time, and budget. So to achieve this project success, you need to have project manager and change manager comes together and make sure that the people side of the change is taken care of. So if you want to see your project success 6 times, use that method. Now, a little bit on the process of change management. We look at the 3 phases. Now, not to worry, like what Pak Imran said, we will share the slide to you as well, and also I'll give you the link. All right. This is the ProSci 3-phase process. Now, this one talks about what do you do first, what do you do second, and what you do third. Number 1, you must prepare approach. I know, like in airport or airplane, right? So before airplane takes off, you must be in the airport, in the tarmac, and you have to prepare how you want to fly, which flight plan, and what's the weather, what is the longitude, latitude, and what's the destination. And then you fly, then you land. So likewise, you need to know, you must prepare an approach. What am I going to achieve? Who will be impacted? What approach I want to use? That's the first level, strategy. Number 2, you implement your strategy. What strategy? Implement your plan, change management plan. Number 2 is you implement your change management plan. What are change management plan? I'll share with you, right? Then the third one will be your sustained outcome. Many companies, right, they suffer because once they start implementing the project, they don't really follow through what happens. Okay. Now, the key area in this ADKAR is the center. If you can see the picture, right, that like a round shaped picture. The center of what we do is people. So talking about helping individuals through ADKAR. Organization doesn't change. People change. So the question is that when any changes comes in, right, it's common. People will resist. They will ask questions. Why? Why now? What is changing? All right. And they'll ask whether okay, then I'll bring it to the ADKAR model, all right? Cross-site ADKAR model. Now, if you look carefully, right, it has a 5 building blocks for successful change. Number 1 is your awareness. Does your people, employee know what is happening, what is changing, why is it changing? Number 2, does your people know that, does your employee have the desire? Okay, I want to do it. Number 3, does your people have the knowledge? They know the tools, they have the manual, they have the system, they have the infrastructure. Do they know how to use the new system? Then the ability. Ability is where you do what you know with what you have. Reinforcement, keep on doing the same thing over and over again with a new behavior. Now, just let me walk you through. When there's one client was implementing CRM, the employees, not only CRM, any project for a matter, all right? Your employees will ask, what is the need for the change? They'll ask you, why are we changing? What is the risk of not changing? What is the nature of change? So these questions must be answered by the organization, must be answered by HR, must be answered by the change management team. If you don't answer them, they will not understand. If they don't understand, they won't adopt to your system. Or for example, in this case, CRM, they will not be able to adapt because they know why you're using it. All right, when you have that question, I understand why, then the transition will be easy. And number 2, the desire. Your employees, you don't talk about employees, like even us, we need to have the desire. Okay, I think the CRM going to help my work. I think the CRM going to customer relationship management. I think the CRM going to make my productivity increase. I think I can go back early now because I don't need to spend so much of time. So until your employee sees that, okay, I know what I want, I think what's in for me, then you make the decision. The knowledge, having the awareness, having the desire, not enough. You must provide training for them. This is where the training comes in. The knowledge is the training part. How to change. You implement one system, but you never give training for them, you are not going to use it. The last one, the fourth one, the ability. This is where you can see the person who went to the training, he comes back and he do his job. When he do his job, when he have any problem, we help him out. Why? This is where the coaching comes in. So these are the training, these are the change management intervention that I share with you. The last one is the reinforcement, how to sustain, right? Now, if you look at the cycle, right, it starts with awareness. People need to know why are we changing. Number 2, they need to support the change by engaging in the changes. Number 3, they need to have the knowledge. You need to provide them the information, you need to provide them the system, you need to provide them the manual. Then number 4 is the ability. Ability is the one will contribute directly to the project success. If you see the triangle there, I see the leadership on top, project management to the left, and change management to the right. All the 3 people will work together to ensure project successes. Only when employee goes to the ability, you can see that CRM being used by all of them. They use it very well. And that's where the transition makes. Now, what is so important about this model? This model says that every employee have to go through awareness, desire, knowledge, and ability in reinforcement to be able to adopt to the new behavior. Because change is very much to do with behavior. So if you do not know, if people don't have if you don't have awareness, even if you tell them to use the system, they will not. They're asking the question why. So that's why a lot of change management, change initiative having challenges. Now this is an assessment. Now you might be asking, okay, Nantha, how we do the ADKAR? Very simple. This is an assessment for individual. It's all cloud-based. Not to worry, cloud-based. You just have to access to the system. Everything will be given, and you just key in for one particular individuals, and you can do for all. You can use a survey. You can use a link to give for maybe for 200 people or 500 people or 1,000 people. So when you do the assessment, you would know where is your employees are. Now, there's one catch here. The score must be more than 3. More than 3. If I say, for example, does the staff have awareness of the CRM? If the staff say, yes, I'm fully aware, I know what the system will do, I know why we're changing, then you give them 4. If the guy says, oh, I want to really go all out because this is what I want to do, you give 5, desire. Knowledge. See, knowledge I give 2 because this guy, this sample, he has problem in terms of learning the knowledge. He cannot follow. Maybe the material is too thick, the system is not working very well. So he gave 2. Anything 3 and below is a barrier point. I repeat, if you score anything 3 and below is a barrier point, you need to look at it first. In this case, right, when I graph, put it like that, right? So you see, awareness is 5, awareness is 4, desire is 5, knowledge is 2. So that's your barrier point. The first element that is 3 and below is a barrier point. So what are you going to do? Are you going to give more communication to the person? Are you going to give him more encouragement, pat on the back? No, the problem is that knowledge. The problem is that knowledge. So this is only one individual. But if you take out in a group, right, you can put what is the challenge with the particular individual? What is the challenge with the particular department? What is the challenge with the particular division? You bring them together, then you do your intervention. What intervention? This you call this is what you call a change intervention. That means you can use your training change management plan, which I'll share with you briefly before we finish today. Yeah? So whether it's a 1 person or 1,000 person, everything starts with one individual. That's why ADKAR is the world most famous individual change model. There are so many models out there. You can go and Google, all right? You can go Google, you got McKinsey, you got Levin, you got things. But the thing is that this model is very simple, very easy, and very usable, and you can focus on the individual change to make it a success. Now, this is about a project. So for example, it's a project manager or change manager or HR. We look at what is the project, right? This is called 4P models. Very simple, all right? In process methodology, right, all the content are digital and very easy to use. So we talk about project. What is the project name? For example, the performance excellence project. Why are we changing? All right, the purpose. Then particulars. What are things are changing and who will change? This is a little bit of give you a framework of a mindset of how to prepare people for change. When change happens, right, CRM or any other e-vendor, e-procurement, or any system or any process changes, it will affect 10 aspects of the job of your employee. So if, for example, you have an employee by the name of, say, Aziz, all right? So when you implement a system, for example, CRM system in this department, you must ask and see in what aspects this Aziz job will be affected. Are we going to, is the process that is using going to be affected a lot? If it's no, 0. If it's yes, very high, is 5. So everything is an assessment. There's a questionnaire for that. So when you do the assessment on what extent this person will be affected, you can manage the change for him or her. Take example, location. You are closing down branches. All right, when I was in the bank, we are closing down a couple of branches in Malaysia. We have a Sabah Sarawak, right? So a couple of branches we are closing down in Sabah Sarawak. So when we did the impact assessment, impact index assessment, we realized that, the majority of the people being affected are from Sabah Sarawak, the East Coast. So what we did, the location was affected. So we give rating 5. When we do that, we prepared a tactical plan for the person. To facilitate the change, we say that, okay, not to worry. When you come to Kuala Lumpur, we provide you a hostel. You can bring your family, we can give you allowance. So these are the plans that we make only after we see the change impact. So remember, whatever changes you do, it will affect process, system, tools. So all the 10 aspects, you don't need to worry. You just give a scoring and total up, and you can find out what next to you. All right? So people change at different places. Remember, every individuals are different. People are unique. There are 7.4 billion people on this earth, on this planet. 7.4 billion. If you look at your thumbprint, right? You look at thumbprint, right? It's never be the same. So if you are so digitally unique, all right? So everyone changes at a different pace. Some catch very fast, some slow, but some performs late. So you need to understand that. So what happens if you don't have ADKAR? People don't have awareness. And people will start asking the same question. Hey, why are we using a new CRM? We already use it for so long. Why are we still wasting money? All right. And number 2 is that I don't have knowledge. I don't know how to do the system. And no one teach me, no one coach me. And the reinforcement is that if you don't give carrot and stick, if you don't measure them, you don't give them metrics, they'll go back to the previous behavior. All right. So those are project managers. You can see the waterfall model, right? From the project life cycle, when you start the project kickoff, you need to go in and provide them the awareness. Now the question is that how to create awareness? How am I create awareness to my people? You use the strategy, you use the CM techniques, you use your communication skill, you have a sponsor model, you have a coaching, you have a training, you have resistance management plan. So these are the 5 plans in change management which will help you to transit. So awareness, then desire, knowledge, and ability. When you want to go live, you already install the CRM, you already give them the training. When you go live, the person must be able to use the system perfectly. The person must be able to use it. You must be able to adapt to use the system. Then only can go live. Many projects, right? Just share with you, right? Many projects, they want to launch it next month. Within 2 weeks, they say, okay, we need to communicate, we need to give them training, everything squeezed into one. And it's very, very wastages because you expect 600 people to use the system, but end of the day, only 400 people use it. So what happened to the 200? Lost. All right. So this is a simple model, ADKAR model, how we do the ADKAR blueprint, talking about the individual change model. What is the target date? What activity you use? This is a simple template I can share with you, not to worry. All right. This is the roles in change management. Now, remember I told you just now, in process methodology, in change management, we always have the mindset, oh, change management is only the role of a HR. Very wrong. Oh, change management is only the role of a project manager. Very wrong. We have a different layer in every organization. We got a senior leaders, the bosses. We have a change practitioners, you and I, are those who are driving change. We got project teams. We got people manager. People manager are the one having individuals under them. So your employee will always go to them, not to the CEO. Your employees will go and talk to your own manager before go to the other people. So these are the people we focus in the change management. All right, the full then frontline employees, everyone down there, embrace, adapt, and use the change. Now 4 roles. Yeah, I know. I'm just sharing with you a little bit about the roles, right? Now 4 roles you cannot not compromise. All right. If you're in HR, take note. If you're in project management, take note. If you're in change management, please take note. Number 1 is your boss. Your boss who are driving the project must make sure that he's active and visible. Not only come for the launching, then disappear. All right, he must be able to build a coalition with other bosses, and he must be able to communicate directly with the employees. What communication? Okay, we are moving into this market. We need to penetrate 30% in the next 3 months' time. This will make us to be competitive. We're going to be the number 1 in the market. That is the message. And it tells to everybody how, through a roadshow or through a video conference or through any channel that is visible and effective. And number 2, people manager. I've seen a lot of people ignore this part. Your people manager are your key. They are the one communicating the changes to your employees. They're the one liaison to your employees and advocate, resist management, coach. When your staff have problem, who they go to? They don't go to the HR. They go to your manager first. So that's where the manager, you need to put them through and train them into doing the transition. Then change practitioner is you and I. Change management is very simple. You apply a structured process to move people to achieve the desired result. So your focus should be people, and people. And project manager, they design, develop system for that what the businesses wants. So all the 4 roles here are very, very critical. If you tell me, Nantha, my company are going through changes, but I don't have a leader doing his role properly. I don't have a change manager doing the role properly. So you're going to have challenges. Now, number 1, you need to have all these people. Number 2, you need to know how good they are. So in process methodology, we can assess their competency. So when you assess the competency, the reason is we're going to help them to do their role better. All right. So this is study says that when the leader is effective, the project successes. 73%. Okay, this research, not from Google, taken anywhere, is research done by ProSci with 1,880 individuals, which consists of managers, supervisors, CEOs, HODs, and these are the evidence saying that if for every or any change management project, the role of a leader is so important to achieve the project success. All right. So again, remember that I was talking about the ADKAR model. ADKAR model, the moment you rate 3 and below, it will be a challenge. So this is for the sponsor. Sponsor is the leader of the project. All right. If the 3 is the knowledge, that means the sponsor is stuck. He or she doesn't know about how to manage, how to drive, or how to transit in the organization on the change. So we need to give him some briefing. Like last week, right? I did a session for the leaders in one of the pharmaceutical company. So they were there for half a day program. So I shared with them, as a leader, you need to do A, B, C. As a leader, you have to do X, Y, Z. So I shared with them. Then they are more competent. They are very good leaders in their business, but they don't have the knowledge in the change management. So we give them the knowledge in a half a day briefing. So we can give them the research, what we have research we have, and also plan for them. And also we can tell them, okay, the examples of good leadership that they can follow. And this one, talking about the managers. Remember I told you just now? Managers are employees first and managers second. When you go to your company, right, or your organization, you can see the managers. Managers, they are also employee. Then only they become a manager. So you need to focus them. They are the communicator, liaison, advocate, resistance, and coach. All right. Out of the 5, the 2 role they always suffer, they always struggle is resistance manager and coach. Why? Day to day, the manager have all the BAU work to do every day. But when it comes to the change situation, a lot of resistance comes, and they are the first point of resistance. So they are the one always ask questions, listen to people's grouses, complaints, and all the noises. And the last one is the coach, right? Coaching is a very powerful tool. All right, so now look at this. This is the plan for ADKAR. Now, if you want to have a successful, effective change management with the right approach, with the project management on top, which is designing the system, you need to have a structured approach to help the 4 people. Sponsor plan for the leaders, people plan for the managers, communication plan, and training plan. If you use all this plan, it will drive your awareness, your desire, your knowledge, awareness, and reinforcement, ability and reinforcement. So this is just a brief how each plan can influence ADKAR. What is ADKAR? ADKAR is the individual change model that to support people to change from where they are to where they should be with a new behavior skill set to use the new system for higher adoption and higher usage. That's where you can see your project successes. All right. So what have you covered? So I'll cover briefly in the last 40 minutes, 30 minutes. What is change management? What matters? The driver, successfulness, how it's successful change, the methodology, the ADKAR, and the roles. All right. So that is the area that I would like to share with you in the last 30-40 minutes. I hope it has given you an insight to the change, the change, and also the process change management methodology. All right. It's my pleasure, and thank you again for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
Baik.
Yeah.
Ya, baik. Terima kasih Mr. Nantha atas penjelasannya. Mr. Nantha telah memberi kita gambaran yang lebih jelas tentang perlunya perubahan dan pentingnya memiliki metodologi manajemen perubahan terstruktur untuk memfasilitasi perubahan individu dalam mencapai hasil bisnis dan tujuan organisasi. Terima kasih pula atas pandangan yang mendalam tentang ADKAR, metodologi manajemen perubahan POSAI. Dan sebagai hormat kami, mohon berikan aplaus untuk beliau. Baiklah, untuk selanjutnya kita masuk pada sesi tanya jawab. Kami akan membacakan dan menjawab pertanyaan-pertanyaan yang sudah diketik di kolom chat box. Baiklah, untuk pertanyaan yang pertama, pertanyaan diberikan untuk Pak Imran. Pertanyaan pertama dari Bapak Vincent Leonardi. How to cultivate digital culture in our organization? Persilahkan Pak Imran.
Terima kasih Bu Indah, and terima kasih Pak Vincent kerana soalan yang I think is a very critical question. It's about how to ensure that digital transformation happen and how to cultivate the digital culture within the organization. So let me share with you some statistics in terms of what are the challenges for digital transformation to happen in any organization. There are some research done by various consulting organizations. So there are 5 distinct challenges. Number 1 in the list is about changing the company culture. So your question is absolutely right. This is the number 1 reason or challenge for digital transformation. The second reason is about thinking beyond the campaign mentality. You know, in many organizations, when they talk about transformation, it becomes like a soup of the day kind of thing. You know, everybody drive in and then rah-rah and so forth. After that, it dies off. So they have this what we call the campaign mentality in the digital strategy effort. And the third challenge is what we call as cooperation between the department and team silos. So a lot of time, there is no collaboration between the various functions within the organization to drive the transformation agenda. And the fourth reason is about resources, the people part of it, the readiness of the people, like what we have discussed from earlier and what Nantha has mentioned about the change readiness of the people. So that is another issue. And the final one is about understanding behavior or impact of the new connected environment that we are in. So these are the 5 top challenges in digital transformation. So now the question is how to address the digital transformation culture that we need to instill in our employees. So let me give you some basic uh, steps in terms of addressing this issue. First is you need to define what is your organization's digital value. Okay, so it is about collaboration, it is about being connected, it is about data driven, it is about transparency, it is about being diverse and open. So you need to instill this digital value. That is the first step. You know, second is about assessing where you are now. Okay, if you don't do a proper assessment in terms where you are, you wouldn't know where you want to go. So similarly with the change management, like what Nantha has mentioned earlier, it's about your change readiness assessment. Are you ready for change? So similarly for digital transformation, you need to know where you are in the whole ecosystem of the business or the economy. Otherwise, you are just going to be grasping in the dark. Okay, what technology is available? Where is your technology strength and so forth? Okay, and the third part is about I mentioned earlier is about tool on the technology. Okay, and then the fourth one is about process. You need to have to identify all the processes that you have within the organization. So what are the changes that going to happen in the processes? Because those change in the process impact how people do their work. And if it impact how they do their work, it is going to bounce back to their behavior and culture ultimately. Okay, so you have to look at perfecting the processes. Okay, and moving on, the fifth one is about enabling your people. So in order for you to spur the digital culture, you need to have a proper training to equip your people with all the changes that you are instituting. So it has to be some form of formal training in the new technology processes, change mindset in terms of how they're going to think and so forth. So this is the fifth component of it. And the sixth part is about knowing that when we talk about digital transformation, I think I have to stress again and again, it is not about technology. It is not all about technology. It is about the behavior of the people, the way you do things, and the mindset of the people. Okay, so you have to realize that, you know, being mindful about the people component of it. And ultimately, to drive the digital culture, we cannot ignore to develop your leaders for the digital age. So in many organizations, the failure happens because their leaders are not ready to transform. The leaders are not open to ideas. They are not transparent. They don't have the network thinking that is required in this era of full connectivity. You need to lead by example, not by authority. You have also, quote unquote, to some extent, give permission to fail. Not everything becomes successful by the first step. Sometimes you're bound to fail. But the thing is with failure is you must also learn quickly from the failure and move on. And ultimately, it's about data driven. And being a leader, you have to be always listening and learning. And the final part or the step is about ensuring your organization is aligned. Digital by nature is about connectivity. So your ensure your organization aligned behind digital value. So this is basically digital culture that is required to transform your organization from where it is to the next level that you wish to take this organization upon. Okay, so I also saw there is another question asked about the is there any benchmark information in terms of time frame for success of this transformation? Simple answer, no. There is no specific time frame, but nevertheless, you don't have the luxury of time. Okay, so you don't have the luxury of time to take your own sweet time to move, because end of the day is how fast your competitors are moving in their transformation agenda. If your competitors are moving very fast, very far ahead than you, obviously you are going to be left behind and fail in your transformation, or even probably sustaining your business. I think this is the question, probably one of the question I saw in the chat box about is there a specific timeline? And I just want to stress again, there is no timeline in terms of how many months or years. The transformation sometimes need to happen within a week. Sometimes it need to happen within a month. Sometimes it can even take a year, depend on the size of the organization. There are various considerations for the transformation timeline. But quote unquote, you don't have the luxury of time. Thank you. Any other
Baik,
questions?
yes, Pak Imran. Untuk
Yeah.
next question, still from Pak Vincent Leonardi.
Yeah.
What steps need to be taken to make some transformation, and how
Yeah.
to support its steps?
Okay,
Dipersilakan,
I've
Pak Imran.
actually mentioned that steps earlier in my brief just now. So the 8 steps I mentioned about in terms of the ensuring this transformation happen. So it is about your the first one. I just want to recap again. It is about defining your present value and what is the digital value is about. Second is about assessing where you are. Third is about what are the tools needed for this transformation. And fourth is about perfecting the processes that is needed for the transformation. The fifth is about knowing that it is not all about digital, it is about the people part of it. And number 7, it's about the leadership within the organization, where you must have leaders who are also developed, they themselves are developed to be in the digital age. And final, about ensuring your organization is aligned in a holistic manner. Okay, so I hope this answers your question on that. Thank you.
Okay, the next question for Pak Imran, still from Pak
Yeah,
Vincent Leonardi. Is
yeah.
there a benchmark of how much time needed to make some changes or transformation?
This again, I think I put all those earlier in my answer earlier. I said there is no specific timeline. It depends on your business nature, how vulnerable you are on the journey of your business. So if your competitors are moving by leaps and bounds, you need to be ready for that, and you don't have the luxury of time. But nevertheless, it is about priority, how ready your organization is as a whole, whether do you have people to manage the transformation, and ultimately, do you have leaders who are transformation driven leaders. So these are all the factors that you need to consider, and this is what's going to drive your transformation. So as I mentioned earlier, some organization can run very fast, some organization will still take some time, some organization you have no choice, you have to transform almost like overnight, because is going to impact your survival of the business. So there is a different level, different level degree of maturity of organization in transformation. So there is a McKinsey paper in terms of the degree of transformation readiness. So different sector of the industry obviously also have a different timeline in terms of how fast they can transform. Obviously, the fastest to transform are the IT organization. The slowest to transform are the public sector as well as the agriculture and construction. Of course, the rest of the industry sector are in between different maturity level and readiness for transformation. Of course, the IT comes first, second is, I would say, the financial institutions, no choice. Everybody talking is about digital banking and whatever not. So the IT system, the transformation of the financial institutions are also quite rapid, then followed by manufacturing and the rest of the industry sector. So there are various level of maturity and time frame taken for transformation. So I hope it answers your question on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Baik, terima kasih penjelasannya Pak Imran. Untuk selanjutnya pertanyaan untuk Mr. Nantha. Yang pertama disampaikan oleh Pak Imam Santoso. Some or many of what giant corporate were disrupted by smaller companies or startup. I believe they were aware about the importance of change, transformation, and they have tried to change but then fail and disrupted. What is the main reasons why they fail? Do you have some research data on this?
Yeah.
Dipersilakan, Pak Nantha.
Thank you, Ibu Enda. Thank you, Imam. Excellent question. Spot on. This is the normally this is the question that all people ask. Why big companies, knowing the importance of the change, they are getting disrupted and fail in their change management? Very simple. There are three factors that successes every change program. Number one is the role of your leader. Is the leader is actively, visibly executing his role in the change management. And number two, you must focus on the people side of the change. And number three, you must have a good business model, right? And when I say good business model, talking about the organizational culture. Is the organization is ready for the change? Is the people are ready for the change? Are there a lot of resistance? Are there a lot of failures in the organization? So again, talking about the big organization, whether it's a big or small, the main factor of failure or success is the role of a leader in the organization. Now, to quote some studies, right? The ProSci, when I mentioned about the ProSci research, right? The study shows that 70%, I repeat here, 70% of project fails because the role of a leader is not effective. So if you are implementing a change management a project or initiative, make sure that the leader is committed, engaged, and highly involved. And you must have a structured change management program or strategy. Remember that I showed the slide, the 7 success factor. So that's it. Yes, we have research, we have data on that, right? And question number 2, right? If I may continue, bertanya untuk Mr. Nantha, dalam mensukseskan change management, seberapa penting role dari change agent dan siapa seharusnya yang menjadi change agent? Now, when you're talking about the change management, right, everybody plays an important role, all right? You have a leader who are driving the change, you have a change manager driving the people part of the change, and you have the project manager doing the system development. Now, change agent adalah you pick the critical people can be a good influencer in your organization. Now, who must become a change agent is number 1, someone who can communicate well, someone who can support the idea, someone who have an influence in the organization. We don't have a limitation who must be the change agent, but you must pick someone who have this criteria, who are supporting the change, who are fluent, who have a good communication, who have a good influencing role in the organization. And of course, they go by title. You can see the managers, you can see the supervisor, you can see the GM become the change agent. But doesn't mean that those who don't have title cannot be change agent. Find the right agent who have the right skill set to support people changing in the transmission. All right? Thank you. What is the best way to strategize to overcome resistance? Now, in Mali Alpha Z, now, very simple. Remember, in every change process, all right, people tend to resist. Don't worry. You must be prepared for that. when you're doing a transition, when you're doing a change management, people will resist, and being resistant is normal. People behavior, they will resist. Now the question is that as a change manager, as a person who are driving the change, you must acknowledge that people will resist because they are going beside the norm. This is what they've been doing all this while. An old system, suddenly new system, they resist. They ask question why. Now, if you know they resist, upfront, they got two types of resistance, passive and active. Some people are quiet, but they resist. They don't want to use it. They go and complain. They go and rumor, cakap belakang, all the bad things. But the thing is that if you know that particular department going to resist upfront, you'll be able to use your tactic. There are 10 tactics that we can use. I mean, what are the tactics? You can communicate to them, you can influence them, you can upfront go and talk to them, tell them the benefit of the program, benefit of the system. So there are tactics that can use as a change leader to manage that. Remember, you cannot not have anyone resisting. There will be someone resist. The question is that you must have a resistance tactics to do that, right? Vincent, right? What if the resistance is so strong since the changes are potentially disruptive? Yes, true. It's true. Now, what I'm saying is that when there's a resistance, so how do you know resistance is strong? Very good, Vincent. When you observe, when you get the feedback that this particular department or person is going to resist this strongly, the key word is that engage him the soonest. I repeat, if you know that this person is going to resist very strongly, you make an engagement to go and see him and communicate and share with him and get buy-in support. Why? Because every change is going to disrupt operation and people and the workload. So as a change driver, whether it's on HR, whether it's your change management, you need to identify who are the targeted group, who are resisting, and make a plan to go and communicate, approach them, make them understand and communicate the benefit of the program, the resources, and for the department. So everything boils down to the communication, communication, and communication. Remember, you must have a strategy, you implement a strategy, you see the outcome. Now, when dealing with people, you must always remember that they are human. They got a heart. Speak their language. Communicate to them. Explain to them. Engage them. Involve them. All right? Thank you, Vincent. Yes, Ibu Indah, I think those are the questions.
Ya, baik. Saya rasa
sorry, ada satu question dari Pak Aditya. In order to have success in change management, how important the role of change agent?
Yeah.
already answer.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. Okay. The answer is, as I said, it's important because as much as how important, you also must find the right person who can demonstrate that value of being a change agent. All right. Definitely, you don't want to bring someone who are not supporting the change, right? Okay. Thank you.
Baik, Bapak dan Ibu sekalian, setelah mendengar penjelasan dari Mr. Imran dan Mr. Nantha, kita menjadi mengerti bahwa di mana perubahan yang semakin kompleks, kita semua memerlukan solusi manajemen perubahan yang memungkinkan kita memberikan solusi. Organisasi kita membutuhkan kemampuan strategis untuk menjadi lebih gesit dan lebih berhasil dalam perubahan. Dan kita memainkan peran penting dalam memastikan organisasi kita dapat terwujud visi uniknya tentang masa depan dan berbeda dan lebih cerah. Baiklah, dengan demikian acara telah selesai. Jika masih ada pertanyaan yang belum terjawab atau yang belum disampaikan di acara ini, dengan senang hati kami akan mencoba menjawab via email. Kami sudah menampilkan email saya, Enda, dan K Pintar, mungkin bisa dihubungi jika Bapak dan Ibu butuh informasi lebih lanjut. Untuk PDU claim code, mohon dapat mengirimkan email ke saya ya, nanti akan saya informasikan via email. Terus kami juga akan mengirimkan kuesioner atas webinar ini. Sekali lagi kami mengucapkan banyak terima kasih kepada semua peserta yang telah hadir. Juga aplaus sekali lagi yang meriah untuk semua peserta, Pak Johan, Mr. Imran, Mr. Nantha, dan juga Bapak Christian di balik layar. Baik, dengan demikian acara webinar kami akhiri. Terima kasih dan sampai jumpa di event-event kami selanjutnya.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you everybody.
Baik.
Terima kasih.
Thank you.
Terima kasih sekali.
Bapak-bapak, Ibu.
Oh, Dian, hai Dian.
Terima kasih.
Ya, sama-sama.
Terima
Ibu,
kasih.
Dian.
Ibu.
Ya, terima kasih.
Ya,
Bapak-bapak.
sama-sama.
Ya.
Terima kasih.
Terima kasih Bapak-bapak dan Ibu.
Terima kasih.
Sama-sama Bapak. Terima kasih.